Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is your news anchor, Alisa Garcia. Today, we will tackle about the world of regions. What are regions, how regions are formed, how does globalization affect these regions, how do people interact and integrate in these regions, and how are these regions divided into different segments. Regions are those areas that are subdivided because of the impact of humanity and their environment. Regions can be defined as natural or artificial and also physical or cultural. First, what is geography? Geography is coined by these two Greek words, geo and graphy. Geo, which means earth, and graphy, which means to write or describe the earth. Emphasis on unique phenomena is geography. Scientific predictions and emphasis on different laws is geography. Even the discipline or the practices of codes and rules is part of our geography. Speaking of phenomena, are we familiar about GPS or the Global Positioning System, which has a great impact in our geographic areas? It is a navigation system that provides location that is referring to our geographic state. One word question, that is question where. And this is the most important or the basic question in geography. Where is China, Japan, USA, Canada, Taiwan, Cambodia, India, Paris, Germany, and so on? How can we identify them? It is based on their geographic location, including their cultures, territories, spatial organizations, or economic activities that work together, that the biotic and abiotic factors are working together. Geography has two categories. These are the physical and the human geography. In physical, we are investigating physical environment and investigating natural processes occurring in this world, investigating landforms and water forms, and also the disasters, the typhoons that we have, hurricanes that we have, that affects our ecosystem. Even to the extreme hot of the desert to the extreme cold of Antarctica. Now, let's talk about the human geography. By the word itself, it looks at how people and different cultures are distributed around the world and how they interact with each other in the environment. This includes urbanization and settlements, where there is a growing trend of more people, while there are cities and provinces, even the development of different countries, where there is a gap between low and high countries, the differences in quality of life of people. Geography that is concerned about the impact of employment or jobs, the study of populations, and why there are cities that are populated. And geography can also be an artificial, such as language or religion, that are defined and kept together by virtue and laws passed by the legislature of the government. Without further ado, let me call on Mr. Andre Alante to introduce us Asian regionalism.
Regional approach. It is needed to enhance cooperation for policy change at national and regional. Why? Because of advocacy, the decisions provided guiding standards and execute pressure on national governments. Regional approach. Society man-nature system. Global, national, and local development. Asian regionalism. Definition. It is simply the product of economic interaction, political, economic, cultural, and social. Benefits. Providing visions and principles for creating and organizing the community or world. It brings us closer together, sustains regions' growth, and stability that reduces inequality. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, is a regional intergovernmental organization comprising 10 countries in Southeast Asia, which promotes intergovernmental cooperation and facilitates economic, political, security, military, educational, and socio-cultural integration among its members and other countries in Asia. Regionalization. 1. Classification of individuals, places, or areas. 2. Parallel to globalization. 3. Economic, political, welfare, and service. 4 is convergence.
Yes, thank you. Good day. I am Josh Varusha, your reporter about the global divides to North and South. The global divide or global digital divide describes global disparities primarily between developed and developing countries in regards to access to computing and information resources such as the internet and the opportunities derived from such access, and there are four world models to be exact. First is the First World, which refers to the so-called developed capitalist industrial countries, roughly a block of countries aligned with the United States after World War II, with more or less common political and economic interests like North America, Western Europe, Japan, and Australia. Second is the Second World, which refers to the former communist socialist industrial states, formerly the Eastern Bloc, the territory and sphere of influence of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, today like Russia, Eastern Europe, Kazakhstan, as well as China. Third is the Third World. Despite ever-evolving definitions, the concept of Third World would serves to identify countries that suffer from high infant mortality, low economic development, high levels of poverty, low utilization of natural resources, and heavy dependence on industrialized nations. These are the developing and technologically less advanced nations of Asia, Africa, Oceania, and Latin America. Also, there are the third world nations which tend to have economics dependent on the developed countries and are generally characterized as poor with unstable governments and having high rates of population growth, illiteracy, and disease. A key factor is the lack of middle class, with impoverished millions in a vast lower economic class and a very small elite upper class controlling countries' wealth and resources. Most third world nations also have a very large foreign debt. But the big question there is, why did North and South divide? Here is the answer. The two sides of the debate were divided between the two main sections of the United States, the North and South. Many Northerners viewed slavery as evil and wrong, and some were involved in the abolitionist movement. The North did not obey fugitive slaves because they said they were cruel and inhuman. That's my report. Thank you. I am Josh Varusha reporting. Next to you, Brian Francisco.
Good day to everyone. Development gap. Some countries are developing faster than others. Many Asia countries are quickly developing while many African countries are slowly developing. The development gap refers to the widening difference in levels of development between the world's richest and the poorest countries. This development gap can also occur within countries, for example, between regions or between urban and rural areas.
Good day. I'm here to talk about the differences between the North and the South. The North is generally more developed compared to the South, which is either under the progress of development or just generally underdeveloped. The South also holds 3/4 of the world population compared to the North that holds 1/4 of the population but controls most of the income earned anywhere in the world, as well as 90% of the manufacturing industries. Classification of countries. Countries can be grouped based on their level of development and their GNI, which stands for gross national income. It is a common way of calculating a country's level of development, and it shows the average wealth of the citizens of a country. So if a country's income is high, they are classified under most developed. If their income is low, they are classified under less developed. And if they're somewhere in the middle, they will be called newly emerged. So, some examples of most developed countries with the highest income is the United States of America, Switzerland, Germany, and Australia. Meanwhile, for newly emerging countries, there is India, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil. And for less developed or low-income countries, there is Afghanistan, Madagascar, Bangladesh, Thailand, and Nigeria. Next up is our reporter, Daryl Tibayan, with the three-world model.
Today, I'm going to tackle about the three world models of economy. The first one is the capitalist, communism, and developing. The capitalist is characterized by free markets and the absence of government intervention in the economy, which means there is no connection in the government and it is owned by the private companies. Next is the communism, also known as the command system, is an economic system where the government owns most of the factors of production and decides the allocation resources and what products and services will be provided. Last part is development. Development economics is a branch of economics that focuses on improving fiscal, economic, and social conditions in developing countries. Development economics considers factors such as health, education, working conditions, domestic and international policies, and market conditions with a focus on improving conditions in the world's poorest countries.
Asian regionalism is quietly revolutionary since it involves the reorganization of political, economic, cultural, and social lives along the lines of an imagined region rather than according to the standard political unit of the nation-state. Asian regionalism plays a constructive role in providing visions of what a regional community should look like and in setting up guiding principles for creating and organizing a regional community. The benefits of Asian regionalism could bring huge benefits that not just to Asia, but to the world. It could help sustain the region's growth, underpin its stability, and will help sustain policies, reduce inequality, and it could help marshals a common response to major new challenges that often arise suddenly and unexpectedly. Regionalism is a relatively new aspect of Asia's rise. Asia's economies are increasingly connected through trade, financial transactions, direct investments, technology, labor, and tourist flows and other economic relationships.
Okay, and our last but not the least, let us call on Mr. Daryl Tibayan to introduce us the 5 levels of market.
Now, I'm going to introduce to you 5 levels of economy. The red, pink, white, gray, and the black market. Let's talk about the black market. We all know that all the activities in the black market is illegal, including drug, prostitutions, and illegal gambling. Any non-government sanctioned violence is also black market, such as a gangster directed assassination. Like gray market, black market benefits from avoiding tax and regulations. Now for the white market. White market is the market of value creation. This is where most of productive wealth of society is created. The white market includes engineering, manufacturing, and construction, agriculture, and food services. Red market. The red market is a market of legal overt violence, value destruction, and wealth confiscation. Wealth can be destroyed directly through violence or directly through waste. Wealth can be confiscated via tax, regulations, inflation, deflation, the compound interest paradox, and other financial tricks. Gray market. The gray market is an activity that would be otherwise legal but conducted off the books. For example, you hire someone mow your lawn, pay them in cash, and they don't report it as income. Another example is hiring illegal immigrants. Most gray market activity is unskilled, low-paid labor. Last is the pink market. The pink market is the market of government-endorsed monopolies and oligopolies. Pink market products are useful but expensive. These industries are subject to extensive regulation and have their market position backed up by government force. That is the 5 levels of economy.